what fathers need to do is they need to step up. They need to step up to help their wives in housework and childcare. And the first thing that happens when fathers do this is that wives become happier. I'm Parkson, a father and grandfather, a relationship coach, and author of The Modern Day Dad.
And I'm Hafiz, a father of 4, a transformational coach, and a dad in progress.
We Are Dads Too is a podcast for fathers by fathers. Each week we have conversations about different aspects of fathering. We will also be talking with experts to get their opinions or have other dads to join us too.
Because we are dads too, we understand the challenges dads face. Our children grow up way too fast, so we need to take effective action that involves personal and lasting change for our children and also for ourselves. Let's go on a transformational journey together because we are dads too.
Hi, good afternoon, Hafiz. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Parkson. I'm great.
Well, I'm so happy to be back again. Another episode of We Are Dads 2 podcast.
Yes, me too. Whenever I sit down with you, I learn a lot, Parkson.
Wow, that was such a great compliment.
No, seriously. So we learn from each other, and I hope the listeners out there are learning too together with us.
That's right. Most importantly, I hope they learn something. And fathers listening to this, please ask questions. Share with us your thoughts, your comments, and ask questions for future podcasts so that we can really be very relevant to you and something you can use to help yourself be better fathers.
Okay, Parkson, I was sharing this topic with one of my seasoned a friend who is a seasoned podcaster, and he's in the social, in the community circle. He's an ustaz, a religious teacher, also a businessman. He said that this is the most important topic. Right? Today's topic, yes, today's topic. So let us talk about it.
Yes, and today's topic, by the way, is parenting as a team. Yeah. Now, I was inspired 4 years ago at the last Olympics, all right? And this is where the story began. I was turning on a TV waiting for a certain program to come on, but I was early, kind of like 5 minutes early. And so happened there was a beach volleyball match in progress. Now, I'm not a volleyball fan or a beach volleyball fan, but I sometimes watched it, So this time around, I said, well, I'm just about 5 or 10 minutes early. Well, I'll just watch it. You know what beach volleyball is, right?
Yes, you told me. Yeah, in our trailer, I asked you and you explained.
Correct.
No naked people.
No naked
or
people.
half naked at most.
Yeah. Well, yes. So as I sat down to watch that, beach volleyball game, the more I watched it, the more intrigued I became, the more amazed I became. Now, what really amazed me was this, that there were 2 players in the team that practically looked identical to each other. I mean, they were wearing the same attire, at least, the same color swimming trunks or costume. And then their skin complexion was equally tan. The only difference is the color of their hair, if it's different. It's different, But then when you watch them play, the energy level, their skill level was on par with each other. So that's why I say they were like twins, in the team. And so the thought just popped into my mind. And the thought was, could this be a picture of parenting? So after a while, a few days later, I began to Google it and learn a bit more about beach volleyball. And I found 5 ways that the beach volleyball team is a picture of parenting. You want to know?
Okay. Beach volleyball parenting. I think we should promote a game between parents. All right? Inter-parent volleyball match.
Yes. Yes, that would be interesting.
Okay, tell me about
how well they work together.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the first thing I learned is that in the beach volleyball team, there are no specializations. Meaning, if you know the normal volleyball with 6 players, there are some players with a special, function like blockers.
Right.
So the blockers are either the tallest or the ones that can jump the highest. They might not be the tallest, but they can jump the highest. So they will become the blockers.
Yeah.
Then there are the spikers, those that are very good at spiking the ball. And then there are, other functions, blockers, spikers, defenders, and all that. So there are specializations.
Right.
But in the beach volleyball team, because there are just two players, you can't specialize. Both of them have to do everything. Okay? Now, how is that a picture of parenting? Well, many years ago, parenting roles were divided generally along gender lines.
Right.
You have the fathering roles,
Yes.
which is mainly providing for the family, disciplining the children, passing on values and traditions.
Right.
And then you have the mothering roles, which is
Nurturing.
everything else.
Yeah, everything else correct. Yeah, the list is long. That's what my wife always say.
Might as well just summarize it by saying everything else.
Yeah.
Everything the father doesn't do and doesn't want to do, the mother
And
does
we say that they are built that way. What naturally, women are nurturing, men are not.
That's what we tell ourselves, so that we feel good about it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of research to say that it's not so true. Actually, men can be nurturing, and women can be very tough bosses at work.
That's right. Correct. Yeah. So men are not born in Mars and women from Venus. We are all from the planet Earth. Yeah. Well, that was back in the days, where parenting roles were divided between fathering and mothering roles. But today, in the modern generation, these two roles are coming together. They're converging so much that they overlap so much that you can just call them one: parenting roles. Okay? Whatever fathers do, mothers can do also. Whatever mothers do, fathers can do also, except one thing, which is breastfeeding. But all right, so that's no specialization now. But having said that, doesn't mean that either the father or the mother becomes redundant. Okay, because even though the fathers can do what mothers do, they do it differently.
Right.
Mothers and fathers read to their children, but they read differently. Mothers and fathers talk to their children, but they talk differently. And mothers and fathers play with their children, but they play differently.
Okay, hold the thought there. Sorry, I got to ask you this. Whenever I'm angry with my kid, for example, I try to control myself most of the time. For me to recover from that anger sometimes takes time. But for my wife, she can be, for example, angry, scold for a while. But quickly, she can turn and show the loving side of her almost immediately. So, is that something that a man and a woman think, or it is nothing got to do with that? Or personality?
No, I think yes, mostly personality and also upbringing. All right. Some are brought up in families where, like my wife, my wife, she has 4 brothers and sisters, and when I was courting her, I would visit her family at home during the weekends. I tell you, wow, they talk at the top of their lungs.
Okay. Right, loud, huh?
Very loud,
Right.
So I always tell people, her home is like the market. My home is like the library.
Okay.
Nobody talks. All right. I'm telling you the truth.
Right.
In my home, the one, with my parents, it's like the library. Okay. No one talks to each other. But her home, everyone talks, and they also fight with each other a lot.
Interesting, Paksan. Before marriage, it's always opposite attracts. But after marriage, you just cannot stand each other.
Correct. That's right.
Because of different personalities.
Different personalities.
Yeah.
You see, it's different when you're dating, At the end of the day, at night, you send her home and you retreat to your own home.
Yeah.
You see? Now, once you're married, you live with each other. That's a different thing altogether. Okay, another day.
Another day for that topic, yeah.
Okay.
But I thought it's important because the differences, all right, how can we make the differences alive? In fact, make it a positive thing instead of negative. Because talk about teamwork, right? You're talking about no specialization. And you also said that that doesn't mean that you do the same thing, but you do it in a different style, with your own nature, personality. And that kind of variety is important in a family life. The fact that it's men and women coming together, different personalities, different upbringing, all this will enrich the child.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I do marriage preparation with couples, planning to get married, we do certain inventories, and one part of it has a personality profile, component. And so you get to know each other's personality types. For example, we're not stereotyping people, and we're not even giving them a label,
Right.
but we are looking at some of the major personality traits. Now, one of the things that I've learned is try not to use the word weakness. Oh, you have this weakness, when you compare the two couples, one with another, right? So one might be a bit more social and the other not so social. Now, is the one that is not so social, is that a weakness? That's not a weakness, right? It's just who he or she is.
Right.
You see? Now, a hammer, you might say, has a weakness. What's its weakness? Well, it cannot screw into the wood, for example. Well, it's not a weakness because a hammer was not designed for that. So we are designed for certain things. We're not designed for other things. So you can't really call it a weakness because we don't have those things. Okay? Yeah. So there's no specializations, but however, the two will have their own unique abilities and strengths that they bring into the team to enhance the team and increase their ability to win the game.
This is 1 + 1 = 3.
You
Correct?
can say that?
Yeah.
You can say that. Yep. All right. Now, the second thing that I learned is that there are no fixed positions. So in the normal volleyball team with the 6 players, they do start off with a specific formation. All right. Each person has a place to stand, and then after that, they can move around. But in the beach volleyball, there are just 2 of them. So the 2 players are constantly moving.
Right.
Okay. Now, but they're not moving randomly. They actually are quite strategic. Every moment of the game, each player will have one eye on the ball and the other eye on their teammate. So, for example, if I notice that my teammate is on the ground because he has just, dived to get the ball,
You have to play that role that he is.
that's
Go to
right.
the position
I have
of
to
his.
step up.
Yes,
I have to
yeah.
step up, step in, and be ready to receive the ball when the other team hits it back. You see? Now, so that's another thing about parenting. In parenting, what studies have found is that fathers tend to see themselves as the helper. Fathers will say, well, if my wife needs my help, and she asks, dear, can you help me with this? And the husbands will say, oh, sure. But when the wives don't ask,
Yes.
they'll be watching
yes.
TV.
Right. Oh no. My wife, if she listens to this, says, see.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about you, right? I'm also talking about myself, right? Yeah. There was a survey, worldwide survey done by a international labor organization, about the division of labor between men and women all over the world. And what they found was in Asia, Asian women do 4 times more unpaid work than Asian men.
Yeah,
Now,
that-
unpaid work means, namely, housework and childcare.
Right.
So when I first read this report, I said, cannot be, man. 4 times? Are you sure? And then when I began to look at myself and the work that we do, my wife and I said, wow, I think in my case, it's like 5 times.
Do you have the data for Western couples?
Okay, in USA, the figure is something like this. In one day, all right, a mother would be doing 90 minutes more unpaid work than a father. 90 minutes a day. Okay, just to give it, now this came from a book written by Belinda Trump. Not Trump,
Trump?
sorry. Gates. Belinda Gates.
Bill Gates, as in
Yeah,
Bill Gates'
Bill Gates' wife.
Yeah,
All right. And so in her book, she said, well, in my family, after dinner, everybody would go to their own rooms and leave me in the kitchen to clean up. And so one day she said, after dinner, she would just put her arms on her hips and says, nobody leaves the kitchen until mommy leaves the kitchen.
Okay.
So everybody had to help out, washing the dishes, drying them, or cleaning up the table and things like that. You see? So that's 90 minutes a day. Okay. So no fixed position. So what I'm, what fathers need to do is they need to step up. They need to step up to help their wives in housework and childcare. And the first thing that happens when fathers do this is that wives become happier and their marriages become better.
Right.
You see?
So it's easy to make your wife happy. Do more housework. Full stop.
That's right, because when I meet with couples, and they come to me, one of the most common complaints is housework.
Right.
Oh, my husband is not helping at all, and he's the one creating the mess, and I have to pick up his mess.
But seriously, there is another side of the coin because, for example, love languages, right? There are 5 love languages. Some people, when you help them, act of service is the so-called language of love. To other people is a word of affirmation and physical touch, and the other 2 also. This is just one example of how you can have that act of service helping your wife, or even the vice versa. All right, the wife helping the husband in other means. At the end of the day, what we want is for the love to blossom, right? Is to appreciate each other, to do what the others like, and also in my marriage preparation course, what I do is to let them have a test and know their love language. But at the same time, I did warn most of them that don't put yourself into the box. All right, if you think that your wife only is, for example, physical touch, all right, so her love language, you don't bring it too far. At the same time, you don't forget the other love language. These frameworks are there to help you apply and have a balanced,
That's right.
Perspective. Even personality, right? There's this disc, and you did mention that don't put yourself or others inside the box. Because once you do that,
Don't label them.
Don't label them, and you have having like a fixed mindset already. All right, and there are other tools actually. I'm using Lumina profiling. There is the underlying personality. There's the everyday personality, and there's also the overextended. All right, you can have, for example, you're a very people person naturally, but at work, for example, you're an engineer. All right, so every day you go to work. All right, you cannot be so people person. You need to make sure you measure. You become very task oriented to get your work done. Overextend is when you're stressed up. All right, for example, you have deadlines, and so on. You may be a different personality. All right, because you are stressed. So again, you naturally most of us adjust to one spectrum or the other, and we shouldn't. And we have to look which personality fits which situation. Right, I think we need to understand there's no box that we need to be in. Right, is to be able to see the different perspective and how we use these personalities for our purpose, not the personalities control us. Right?
That's right. The danger about labeling people is we form certain conclusions about them, and in a sense we judge them, and sometimes we condemn them. We become judgmental, and that really, is not the right thing to do. So let's not label people, even simple things like introvert and extrovert.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So moving on.
If I see myself an introvert, I won't be doing this podcast, Baksan. All right. But I have to do it because I have a bigger objective, to achieve. So again,
That's right.
Your dream, your objective, if it's bigger than what you think you are, you'll be able to come out of that so-called box or shell.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, let's go back to the other so-called volleyball, beach volleyball. Example that you
Okay,
gave.
point number 3. The third thing that I saw as a parallel between the beach volleyball team and parenting is that the 2 players are trained by the same coach.
Of course.
All right.
Yeah.
They do not have their own personal coach, personal trainers, but the same coach trains the 2 of them, teaching them the basic skills to do the basic things as well as strategy.
So how's it related to relationship and marriage and partnership, teamwork?
Well, in parenting, no matter who you are, there will be difference in parenting styles. All right, depending on the family you grew up in. So any 2 parents would have different, even slightly different understanding. Oh, this is the right way to do it. No, this is the better way to do it. This is how we did it in my family, so it is the right way. Yeah. Well, to resolve that, the easiest way to resolve that is, number one, go and attend a parenting workshop.
Yes, yes, of course.
Learn it from a coach, someone who knows what he's talking about, and preferably something that is research-based.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if let's say you have different personalities, right, of a father and a mother, all right, and this personality, for example, the father is strict, the father is more disciplinarian, all right, very structured. You must put your shoes here, you must fold your clothes there, and so on and so forth. Must that father always be this disciplinarian,
No.
and the other, just wait for the father, to scold or to discipline the children?
Yeah. Well, there was this, school of thought, good cop, bad cop, So there was a parent asked me, is it good to use this? One of us be a good cop and the other be a bad cop. I said, well, I only got one thing to say. I pity the one who plays the bad cop.
Yeah, not only that, I think the kids today, they know when you are acting. I mean, come on. They know more than what we think.
That's right.
All right, and sometimes they can use that against us.
Correct. Correct. Yep. So the best thing to do is for both parents to be as identical and seamless as possible. All right. Now, of course, personality, because of the difference in personality, the way you apply even the same principle about parenting will be slightly different. Okay, so that's normal, that's acceptable, that's understandable. But as long as you understand the same principle and you're trying your best to apply that principle. Now, so learn parenting skills from the same coach, okay, and begin to practice and practice and practice, because the more you practice, the better you become at it.
I believe in that. I believe in practicing and having someone accountable. I think when you talk about a coach, someone that see what you cannot see, all right, be able to see your blind spot.
That's
Because sometimes, we feel that we are doing the right thing because but at the same time, we may not be able to, for example, look at the finer things, and do not track ourselves, all right, beyond what we see. So practice is definitely and having someone accountable. I mean, if it's not between husband and wife, to have a third party, all right,
Yep.
to have the second opinion and not so much give advice.
To kind of keep you on track, to be focused. Because sometimes especially when you're trying something new, all right, and it's not working, you see, because some habits are hard to change. We revert to our old ways, the familiar ways of doing things. So a coach will help you keep focused. Don't forget the principle we learned, all right? So don't go back to your old ways, just keep doing it. Now, if you're having difficulties, maybe you tried a few times and it didn't work, the coach will be able to help you understand why it's not working, all right? And then you will find more success in doing that. Now, parenting skills is one set of skills that every parent, of course, needs to learn. But look at the beach volleyball team again, the two players. Even if they're well-skilled, well-trained in all the basic skills of volleyball, but personally they can't get along. They're always quarreling, they're always competing against each other rather than working together.
Going for the same ball. Huh?
Going for the same ball, wanting the glory and wanting to be more popular. Will they be a good team?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not,
Yeah,
right? It's kind of a civil war going on between the two of them.
Right.
And so likewise, between parents, even if you are well trained in all the parenting skills, there's another set of skills that we need to learn, you need to learn, and that's marriage skills. Communication, conflict resolutions, and many, many others, all right? So that you get along.
Right. So I think the important thing about having each other back, so-called, meaning that each have a specific role to play, because maybe you're more, due to your personality, you can take the discipline part of the role, but at the same time, you shouldn't fully expect your other half, to do all the things that matters to discipline. In fact, if you do that, the child will probably read that, when the non-disciplined parent is around, I can be lax.
When the cat is away, the mouse began to play.
Yes. Is that nursery rhyme? But it sounds good.
Kind of. Well, I've heard this since I was young, so I don't know where it really came from.
Right. So that's related to, as you said, they need to, what do you call it? No fixed position, right?
That's right.
And you're talking about training the same coach and, practicing, and be good at it.
Correct.
I think it become a habit, because if you start doing it over and over again, both the good and the bad, or the wrong and the right thing, it becomes part of you.
Correct.
Automatic,
right?
right?
Nature. That's right. So fourth parallel is that you spend hours practicing. Okay, they spend hours practicing, so we keep practicing it. Now let's go on to the last one, which is my favorite. One thing that I did not know until I did the research about beach volleyball is that there is no substitution.
Oh, there's no, what do you call that? Reserve.
No reserve team.
All right.
All right. No reserve players.
So what happens if you get injured?
Well, maybe the game ends. All right.
Interesting.
But no substitution. Okay. So when I read this, I said, wow, this is really a picture of parenting, because in the child's mind, the child can only and will only recognize two people as mommy and daddy. And that is the child's biological father and mother. No one else can take their place. Okay? So in today's society, unfortunately, the divorce rates are high. Many of them get remarried. So what you end up with is stepmothers and stepfathers. And in many cases, the child is, in a way, expected or forced to recognize that new person as the mother or father. And many parents don't realize that that's very difficult, and maybe even, I would say, unfair to ask a child to do, because the child only recognizes mommy and daddy, and that's the biological fathers and mother. You see? So there's no substitution. So what are we saying here? I guess what we're saying is that parents, we need to work on our marriages. All right? We need to really do what we need to do what we can in order to keep that marriage alive, because our children depend on it. Our children need that unity, instead of coming home to a house where there's always fighting and quarreling and yelling at each other, sometimes even throwing things at one another. Right. My daughter was, in primary school, primary 3, primary 4, and, she would come home and say, oh, this classmate of mine, parents are divorced. 2 months later, come home and say, oh, this friend of mine in school, parents divorced, and then one after another. And I was kind of shocked. I said, wow, divorce is such a common thing today, and our children are exposed to it so easily. So imagine, what would my daughter be thinking if she came home and every day mommy and daddy are shouting at each other?
Paksan, this topic of divorce, it will be a topic on its own, or a few topics on its own. However, I would like to touch this because it is right in the alley of my community, all right, where, the Malays have highest divorce rates among compared to the others. And ironically, actually, although divorce is allowed, permissible in the Muslim religion, but it is highly discouraged, all right, because of what you mentioned just now. The breaking up of family leads to children emotionally being affected, traumatized, right? And that becomes something that they bring when they are grow up, and the cycle sometimes continues.
I'm a child of divorce, and it took me more than 25 years to get out of it. See? So yes, I fully understand, I fully agree with you. The trauma did not start when the divorce proceedings started. The trauma for the child started when the parents started to have quarrels at home.
Yeah, I also want to extend, all right, why is it allowed? It's because sometimes if you don't divorce, things will get worse.
That's right.
All right. Also in Singapore, I think we are quite fortunate to have structures that support couples who have want to go through divorce. They go through counseling pre-divorce, and they make it difficult. I think not many countries do that particularly, and it shows that we need to keep our marriage healthy for the sake of our children.
That's right.
Right, and you said that I mean, today you can tell people out there that you are a divorce,
A child of divorce.
a child of divorce. Yeah, you're a child of divorce, but not many children can be proud to say that.
They rather not say that.
They
yes.
rather not say it, right?
That's right.
And I think it shouldn't be normalized. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard from my daughter. She has a friend who has a divorced parents. I mean, they're close, and they say that she has to go to counselling in school. I mean, these are. Is it necessary? All right, for us to depend on the third party again? Will they do the job that we parents can do? Again, outsourcing, right?
That's right.
I mean, we outsource our education, outsource our so-called emotional education, academic education of our children. We tend to do that just because there is a service out there. In fact, sometimes we take for granted, all right, that people help not because they help out of the need, yes, but at the same time we should try to avoid.
That's right. Prevention is always better than cure. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean every marriage goes through what do you call it, storm. I've heard a marriage is very quiet. I mean the one of the partner don't really talk about differences, no quarrel, but suddenly divorce.
Yes, when there's no quarrel, I worry. Counselors will worry when there's no quarrel. When there's very heated quarrel, we also worry.
Yeah, so it must be balance. I mean, there
That's
must
right.
be quarrel, but at the same time, that
Resolution.
resolution, and there are limits to
Mhm.
to
And
to to how it is done.
that's right. And
No
then
violence.
repair after that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a very big topic. I will be very happy to talk about this. It's one of, besides fathering, the other one of my favorite topic is marriage and how.
Yes.
And I just want listeners to listen and hear this. It's not difficult to maintain your marriage and make it well, make it grow, make it dynamic, make it satisfying and lasting. It's
And
not difficult.
and these are from fathers who have done it, been there, done it.
That's
I don't know about you, but I am a dad in progress. I'm learning every day to be better myself, to make sure that we focus on what is this marriage for? It's for children,
That's
for
right.
their future.
And our future also, because one day our children is going to grow up and leave the house. They'll have their own lives and families, and that's called empty nest. So what happens when you have an empty nest?
Depression.
So the only thing that you have left is your marriage.
Yeah. And if you talk about marriage that lasts, all right, I mean, today we take for granted, all right, a marriage has to last. But research shows that most of the divorce come within the first 5 to 10 years of marriage.
That's right.
And that's where the test is. And if you do not not intervene, but prepare early, I'm not saying that you cannot repair it, but it's more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
All right, after things have happened, after you have other priorities. Okay, but that is the dilemma. New couples, when they just started in the age of 20, late 20s, they're usually also busy with career. They're busy with their own having to transition from being a single to having a partner, the children coming in, and having to adjust, not only with the presence of the children, but having someone else coming into your life. All right. So, what would be, all right, your take? Because when it comes to marriage education in Singapore, I think all of us know actually, at least on the Muslim side, it is not compulsory. During my time, we thought it was compulsory actually. So all of us went, and it was even a longer, the so-called number of hours was much longer than today. Today, you can do it in 1 day, 2 days, done. And when people think that it's not compulsory, they tend to just, take it easy or even don't go for it. And yet, there's a big gap there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I would highly recommend marriage preparation classes. They are definitely effective to a certain extent. Now, why do I say that? Have you been on a roller coaster ride?
Oh, I love it.
You love it, right?
Yeah.
So do I, I
Yes.
tell you, I'm afraid of heights, actually.
Yeah.
I do have a fear of heights, but I love roller coasters.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't think there are any more in Singapore.
There is.
Oh, there is?
Galactica, I don't know, Battlestar in
Is
USS.
that's okay, that's an indoor one. All right, okay.
Outdoor.
Outdoor.
Indoor as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been there for many
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Anyway, what happens at the beginning when everyone is seated in the roller coaster at the station waiting to launch?
You just wait.
You just wait,
Yeah.
right? And then there's this guy coming around to make sure that whether the seat belt or the bar is in
correct.
position.
Safety.
And then there's a PA system where somebody is telling you, giving you instructions, right? And saying, make sure you hold on to your bags, don't stick your hand out, whatever. Do's
Better,
and don'ts,
yeah.
right? Now,
Yes.
how many people do you think are listening to that?
Nah, I mean, we were so like, our adrenaline probably are building up. We're not listening lah.
Correct. That's marriage preparation.
Yeah, nobody's listening.
Nobody's
No wonder now.
No, they are listening to only one thing,
Right? What is that?
probably about sex.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's one topic on that. Yeah, and money. In fact, now they even have post-marriage, first 5 years, because now there is a problem and they have to intervene to
That's
bring
right. That's not post-marriage. I don't like that word.
okay, not post-marriage.
Marriage enrichment.
Marriage enrichment, correct. Post-marriage, yeah, I think we should have to after divorce.
That would be. I would say that's called co-parenting.
Yes.
How do you, especially if you have a child, how do you continue to parent as a team, not as a couple anymore, not as a married couple, husband and wife, but still as you see, even though you're not husband and wife, you're still father and mother. You have responsibilities, right?
Yes.
And it's not fair to to just you see I tell you if you get me started on this,
Yes,
I'll never
I
end.
can see
Let
that
me-
in your
let me
body
just say
language.
this.
Yeah.
Let me just say this, it's in a divorce, the adults can move on.
Not the children.
Let's say after 2 years, right? The grieving period, maybe 2 years. After that, they will, maybe start dating again and they move on with their lives. For children, they might never move on.
And what is the reason, Baksan? What is it a biological, brain development? What is it about?
It's the emotional trauma. It's a emotional scar that is left in them. And you see, adults can go through counseling, all right, to go receive therapy. They talk about it, they process it, and they heal. Children have no one to talk to.
This is related to our previous topic on resilience, actually. I think as we grow as adult, we have gone through and we have this hindsight, all right, that things will not be as bad as it is. But for children, they don't have that hindsight. They don't have that runway to say that I've gone through that difficulty, I made through. But I think for children, they may not have that.
They do
What do you
have a
think?
hindsight,
Yeah.
but the problem is they form coping mechanisms, coping strategies. All right, in order not, you see, for some they would say that marriage is risky. Okay, so I want to keep a distance.
Right.
I want a relationship, but I don't want commitment and things like that. So it affects their relationships as an adult, depending on how they've interpreted their life, their past experiences.
And it's not hearsay. This is research based,
This
right?
is
Based
research
on
based.
statistics,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
Correct. So anyway, it's a big topic. Well, but today's main topic is about how to parent as a team. So I hope you guys out there will remember the picture of a beach volleyball team and the 5 different ways that the beach volleyball team parallels parenting. Okay. And yes, learn the parenting skills and marriage skills at the same time. If you have any questions, feel free to write to us, email us, or go through our social media, Facebook and Instagram page. And we'll be happy to answer those questions.
Nice. Baksan has been a learning journey for me the last half an hour or so. As I said, this podcast is a blessing. All right.
It's a
I'm not
blessing
talking
to me
about
too.
we are sharing with others. We are learning as you go on. And as you talk, there's a lot of things that on my mind. We can probably do so many episodes and share with everyone. But we want to hear from you out there. All right. We will not be talking to you. We want to talk with you. This is a conversation, not just the two of us, but the conversation for all of us. If you do not respond or you do not ask questions, we'll be talking just two of us. Me, Paksan, talking to each other. No fun.
Oh, yes. Please tune in next week.
Yes, of course. Tune in next week and see you again. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. This podcast is brought to you by Iman Catalyst Community, which is missioned to elevate hope by transforming lives through social education initiatives as well as personal development programs. We are the medium that come in between NGOs and their beneficiaries to enhance their sustainability and impact. We support them by giving training, coaching, and enhancing collaboration between the public, private, and people sectors. If you'd like to know more, connect, and collaborate with us, you can reach us at Facebook and Instagram at Iman Catalyst, that's spelled EMAAN, and we would like to work and partner with you.
Thank you so much for tuning to this week's conversation. We hope that this episode helped you in your transformational journey as dads. If you like this podcast, make sure you review, follow, and share it with your friends. For more episodes and resources on fathering, check us out at We Are Dads Too on Facebook and Instagram.
We would also like to hear your comments and questions, so please feel free to share them on our FB and IG pages and also our Twitter, and be connected to other dads too. Until next time, let's take the next step to be the special dad we are meant to be. Take care and stay safe.